Hey there, Kermit the Frog here with Larry from Loop and Larry, Guardians of Geek. And you should check out their Season 2 starting this September. Check it out. Yay!
Larry, what are you doing?
Loop! You disappeared at the end of last season. I didn't know where you went. And there's been killer clowns and murder and scary things. And why are you wearing Georgie's coat?
It's summer vacation. We're starting Season 2 of Loop and Larry, Guardians of Geek. And plus, there's no such thing as killer clowns.
Do you know an evil clown who has a funny little laugh and loves to dance, but only comes to visit once every 27 years? Does it annoy you when he shows up and only wants to eat you? If so, we offer you this distraction.
I'm Loop.
And I'm Larry.
And welcome to the premiere episode of Season 2 of Loop and Larry, Guardians of Geek.
In a world filled with intergalactic space battles, metahuman destruction on a global scale, and psychopathic serial hauntings, there's only one team who can make sense of it all. When your world is overrun with rampant pop culture, call Loop and Larry, Guardians of Geek.
Yeah, we're back with explosions.
Season 2!
Absolutely explosive.
I never thought we'd make it to Season 2.
I know, right?
So, if you've been listening, we kind of did like a half season because we didn't start till January, but we want our seasons to sort of go from September to like the summer, essentially, to like August or July. So, because we need to have some time off at some point.
We like to call it the Parks and Recreation model.
Yes.
starting off with 6 episodes and then leading into a full-blown series.
We're kind of like teachers, really, is what we are.
That's kind of what we do.
Teachers of the Geek, and we need our summers off.
Hey, we should call ourselves that. Teachers of the Geek. I like that. That's good.
That's okay. Let's go back to the Geek. We're renaming the podcast to
Teachers of the Geek.
So how's your summer been?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Of the month that we've had since our last podcast.
It was great. It was a nice time off. It was relaxing. It was absolutely geeky. How about you?
Good. So you went away for like 3 weeks or 8 months or something?
Yeah,
what were you doing?
We did some traveling, did a little Disney cruise. You know, everybody knows I'm a big Disney aficionado. And so, so we did a little Disney cruise around Europe. We of course, geeked it out by stopping in Denmark at the home of Lego. And,
that's awesome.
Spent some time where Lego was born, which was pretty cool. And then spent one of the coolest days of my life at the Warner Brothers studio in Leveston, England, where all of the Harry Potter movies were shot.
Oh, nice.
And they have like an entire Harry Potter display, like almost like a museum with all of the original sets and all of the original props. And so you can literally walk on the sets of the movie, and it was just totally mind-blowing.
Too cool.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. So I'll there'll be some photos. I'm putting a little video together. So take a look on Loop and Larry on our social media pages at some point, and you'll see the little bit of that.
I did not do any of that.
Okay.
I was working most of the summer, but always doing geeky things as I usually do. But the one thing that we both did at the end of the summer is went to Fan Expo in Toronto.
Yes,
which was really, really cool. I always enjoy Fan Expo. Everyone loves to complain about stuff because and we probably were leading into it.
Yeah,
just because when you've gone to so many, you have a certain expectation of what you expect. And everybody has different interests too, right? So when you start not seeing what you want to see. But it ended up quietly, they put together a really good expo.
It was great. This is just sort of for reference. This was Loop in my 15th year. This was 15 years we've been coming to Fan Expo. And it was also their 25th. So we started when they were only 10 years old.
That's right.
They were just a baby at the time. And it has changed a ton since we first started going, mostly in price.
Yes, but it used to be like obviously more. It was a Comic-Con, so it used to be more comic related. But now obviously they got all your celebrities and everything else that they bring to the table. A lot of celebrities did cancel at the last second, and this is not new to Fan Expo. It's new to it's the same at every Comic-Con. Like they announce the guests. I still don't understand, and I'd like to have someone from Fan Expo or one of those Comic-Cons on sometime. But I'd love to know how do these people cancel all at once?
Yeah, well, and that's what happened this year. Is that there were 4 major cancellations. There was this year, Jason Momoa canceled.
Dwight from The Office.
Yeah, Rainn Wilson canceled. Lemony Snicket. What's that guy's? He was in Seinfeld. Warburton.
Like the Tick.
The Tick. You know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
He canceled. Pamela Anderson was supposed to be she canceled, and it all happened within like 48 hours.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Yeah. But anyway, there's still a ton. Like I still had money to spend. I spent a lot.
Oh yeah.
So we both got our picture taken at different times with
John Travolta.
With John Travolta.
That was a biggie.
And I wasn't planning on going back because he was only there the Sunday. But he's such a big star and such a huge impact on like the movies I love, and like from Saturday Night Fever to Blowout. I love Blowout.
Oh, Blowout, yeah.
Cool movie, and of course Pulp Fiction and like Get Shorty.
Don't forget Welcome Back, Kotter.
Yeah, like this is he's such a pop culture icon, and he was so nice.
He was a really, really good guy. He showed up about an hour late. So there was that moment of, okay, what kind of person is he going to be? Is he going to be a jerk? Is he going to be what? Why is he showing up an hour late? And people were getting really annoyed by this, that they had to wait. But he showed up, and he was the most gracious person, and one of like my best experiences with a celebrity. I think yours too.
Yeah,
he was just a really nice guy. And in preparation, because I'm a super geek, in preparation for this, I went with my son, and he and I wore the exact shirts from Pulp Fiction, from the scene where Jules and Fern had to be washed down with the hose, and they were wearing,
by the wolf.
Yeah, but like the Banana Slugs T-shirt. So I found exact copies of those, and so we were wearing those. And I walked in on the photo op, and he said, "Hey, my shirt!" Not exactly in that tone, but and so I was like, "Oh yes, it paid off."
Well, I wore a Pulp Fiction shirt, and he looked at it, and he did one of those nods, like, yes, yeah, you know what's up. So that was pretty cool. I was like, I didn't even, because sometimes you go into those and they don't even like hardly like even say hi or whatever. I did the one with Saved by the Bell, like the cast. It was a cast photo.
How'd that go?
It was like all right. I mean, it was cool to see them in person.
Yes.
Elizabeth Berkley, super nice. The other two were like fine. Like Mario Lopez was a little weird, I thought, but I mean, maybe he's just off a little bit on my particular photo. I don't want to.
You should check out the Loop and Larry social media pages. I believe that photo is up there, and you can judge for yourself how weird that was.
Because my wife wanted to get in between Elizabeth Berkley and him, which you'd think there's 3 of them, so there's 2 of us. So you think we'd get into between each of the celebrities.
They just move around.
Well, he tightened himself up so you couldn't get in between the 2 of them.
Right.
And I don't know why he did this. He did this to a couple people. I saw it coming up, and so she wasn't going to do it, but then naturally you want to do that, and he kept doing that. So then Jen kind of awkwardly spun around, and then they took the photo, and half his face is behind her. And I'm like, if I'm the photographer and we're paying whatever we paid, $200 or whatever it was for that photo, wouldn't they say, "Hey, Mario, move over, like attach, like
can't see your face."
It's like if there's like a 4-year-old taking these photos, like you've never taken a photo before. It's just kind of weird. Like I just thought it was a very, but they're like decent. Like Zach was cool. Like he was all right. Like, so,
I mean, it's cool to meet these people and like be in the same spaces they are in, you know what I mean?
But opposite to what happened with Travolta with us wearing like the shirts or whatever. Yeah. When there's a girl about 2 ahead of me that was dressed like Kelly Kapowski, same hair. She looked like a lot like her. She walked up and they kind of just went, "Oh, that's cool." Like they didn't really even like. I'd be like, "That is really cool," and like just for her effort. But they didn't really even acknowledge her, and I was like, "That's kind of sad."
Yeah,
but anyway,
you get those moments, and that's the thing. You never know what you're going to get.
I'll give an A to Elizabeth Berkley, B to Zach, and I'll give a C to Mario Lopez.
That sounds about fair.
Yeah,
and I give a D- to the actual photo.
Yeah, well, whoever's the photographer gets a D- because they kind of like
it was not a good one.
No, it wasn't great, but. Another thing that we ended up seeing last week. Took a bit for that music to kick in, but it did. I thought I edited it right to the point, but maybe not.
No, that's all right. Yeah, it's that much tension. There was that much tension. You had to wait for the excitement to happen.
Yeah, it was just like the. You just get with the wah wah wahs already. Just get to that part. So we both went and saw it.
Yeah,
which was like. I thought it was amazing.
I loved this movie. So I really liked this movie, and then I saw it a second time, and then I loved the movie. Yeah,
I kind of thought you might.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
We went and saw it, and I was like, I had read some like so-so reviews.
Yeah,
going
it's
into the movie,
mixed reviews,
which I am surprised because I know I've heard that it's too long, but I don't think in a book the size of a Stephen King novel, I thought they did a good job with it.
Well, if they could make the Hobbit into 3 4-hour movies, with the number of pages in The Hobbit, it's surprising that they only made 2 movies out of Stephen King's It. The book is like 1,100 pages long. They could have made 5 movies out of that.
And there's a lot in there to digest. And we'll talk a little later about like some of the differences between different versions of it. But I thought it was really well done. I thought the casting of the kids was amazing.
Really good.
It looked really cool. Like Bill Hader made me laugh. He was like so ridiculous.
But they were like they looked just like their like child counterparts. Like the casting was incredible. I just thought like I totally believed that these adults were the kids that they grew up to be.
Yeah,
you know?
No, for sure. It was pretty amazing. I really like Bill Hader in it, and I liked everybody in it. It was just I thought it was solid. I thought they did a good job too of taking the kids, like kind of jumping back to the kids as well. It wasn't just the adults, but it's funny because they had to recast for these kids, and yet you still were like right into the casting. Like you were still you bought into it, and you felt for all the characters, even though you had to kind of learn a bunch of new characters. You know, they were the same characters, but
you had to learn sort of where they went with their lives and sort of, you know, where they are now and where their, you know, heads are and all of that. So, but you got it. Like it made sense. They really did a good job of maintaining the same atmosphere and the tone from the first movie to the second movie. Like, and from what I've read, Andy Muschietti is going to be putting together a supercut.
I heard that,
yeah. So apparently the supercut is going to be between 6 and 6.5 hours long.
Whoa!
As one solid movie.
So he's taking both movies and combining them.
But he's also putting in some of the deleted scenes and shooting 2 new scenes,
which is really cool.
Really cool. So because there's a ton of footage that apparently the movie that we saw in the theater that was 3 hours long, the original cut is 4 hours long.
Right.
So he's actually got an hour of footage that he could put back in. So the supercut's going to be unbelievable. I am so excited. I don't know if it's going to theaters or straight to home video. I don't know how that's going to work. But I'm so stoked about this. Now I also gotta say I've got a bit of a personal connection to it because depending on where you're listening to us from, the movie was shot in a town called Port Hope, which is only 3 hours away from where we
I was going to ask you about this.
Yeah. So and I actually have family who lives not too far from there. So when the first movie was being shot, I happened to be in Peterborough visiting our family and realized that this was going on, and they're only about 40 minutes away from Port Hope. So jumped in the car with my son, went down to Port Hope thinking, I don't know if we'll see anything. They had wrapped up filming, but we got to see all of the locations. Like we walked the streets of Derry. So Port Hope stands in for Derry.
Right.
And we saw like Beverly's apartment, like the Capitol Theater. All of the locations that take place in Derry were there, including some of the stores that still had their storefronts changed over for the movie. And we spent probably 2 hours walking around Derry, and it was really cool.
And the Paul Bunyan statue, you have a picture in front of that too.
Yeah, so it was gone the first time. During the first movie, it wasn't there. But then, then found out that they were making the second. Well, we knew they were making the second one. Found out when it was going to be, and so my friend Ben and I decided to take a road trip down to Port Hope. And see if we could apply to work on the movie, because they had a casting call, or not a casting call, but a crew call for people who wanted to be extras or work on the crew, that sort of thing. So we jumped in the car and went down there then, and we were down there for probably about 5 hours, standing in line with like thousands of other people, and put our names in to work on the crew. It would have been potentially a 10-day shoot in town. Put our names on and we said we'll do anything. We'll sweep floors. It doesn't even matter. We'll just here you go. And they never called us.
No.
So unfortunately, we didn't get to be on the crew, but. We did go back. I did go back one more time, a third time, with my son right in the middle of shooting Chapter 2. Mm-hmm. We knew the shoot dates, so we went down during shooting thinking maybe we'll get to see some action. Yeah. Well, there wasn't any action that day, but the entire town was still fully dressed as Derry, including like all of the props on the walls everything was there. So when we walked down, all the American flags were out.
Oh, cool.
The Dairy Canal Days banners were strung across the street, and the Paul Bunyan statue was up in the park.
Yeah.
Like the full Paul Bunyan statue, which is actually made of rubber.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
We got to touch it, and it was rubbery.
Did it come to life at any point?
Yeah, and it tried to kill us.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
So that was good. So we did all that. And so that happened. We're just like taking pictures, and I think I posted some on our social media, and we were all really excited. And so we were wrapping up, getting ready to go, and walking back to the car, and a car pulled up beside us as we're leaving, and this guy got out of the car, and he's wearing around his neck a camera that had two lenses, like a still camera, like it looked like an old-fashioned camera with two lenses beside each other.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a really weird-looking camera. Like, I've never seen a camera like that. And I just kept looking at this camera, and the guy stood out too because he was really tall and had a goatee, and I was like, okay, this is really odd. And I just couldn't take my eyes off this camera and what was going on, and I walked back to the car, and we got in the car and left. The next day, I realized that was Andy Muschietti, the director.
He was right there.
He was right. He got out of his car right beside us and was just going to take pictures of the town. He was all by himself.
Yeah.
And if I had realized it at the moment, I totally would have stopped and fanboyed all over him.
Oh, for
but
sure.
This is like one of my biggest regrets.
But really, like, who would know what he looked like unless you're
exactly now I do.
Yeah. I've seen interviews with him now.
But at the time, I didn't realize that's who it was. But that's who it was, and he was right beside me, and I would have. Yeah, so that was my big.
It's
fail.
cool that you went down there though. Like the pictures you had were amazing. Like the Paul. And the thing is, when I first saw some of your pictures, I didn't know the movie enough,
right.
And then when I just finished chapter 2, and then I saw your pictures again, I'm like, oh, there's the Paul Bunyan statue. And there's and then I started all coming together.
It was really cool. They did a really nice job of dressing that town to make it look like
that's awesome,
like a small Midwestern, town in the United States. It was great.
Yeah, and so if you have a chance to go see it chapter 2, I thought it was great.
Absolutely.
I thought it was scary. I thought it was like emotional. It was just really well done.
It's got a really satisfying ending.
Yeah, I thought it was really well done.
That's the important thing.
Yeah,
because it does sort of wrap up. I mean, it does wrap up. It's chapter 2. It does wrap up, and it does the ending. I think the ending is great. It's a very Stephen King-y kind of ending.
Yeah,
it's terrific.
Awesome. So we're gonna move on now. Normally we do the news here. We've kind of switched up a little bit. It's still going to be news, but in a different format. We're going
to a season 2 news.
Yeah, it is. It's called the Pop 5. So we're looking at 5 sort of trending things that are going on instead of 55 trending things.
That's right. We got a little carried away with our news.
Yeah. So we're going to do 5 sort of trending things. Now, inside those trending things could be a bunch of other news related to that. And then we're also, Larry and I are also going to talk, just give a sort of a 6th and 7th trending, just personal things, maybe something we've seen or like a comic we read or whatever, just like more or less a recommendation or just something that we're interested in that we're kind of keeping our eye on. So we have a brand new opener, and I am going to play it right now.
What's hot? We'll tell you what's hot. It's the Loop and Larry Pop 5.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
We are slick and sparkly new for season 2.
That was amazing.
It was something anyway.
All right, so let's start our Pop 5, and what's trending?
Right now, right at the top of the list, we have the fall TV lineup has been released. Loop, what do we have there?
Okay, we got tons of stuff going on, fall preview. So, of course, every fall, now they kind of have 2 release dates. They have the fall, and then they have kind of a spring, probably January or February, where some new shows come out, and then now they have a summer as well.
Of course they do.
But I'll go through the fall preview. Some of these I'll just go through quick. American Horror Story will debut this week. Yeah. It's called 1984, and I think it's 9th season of American Horror Story.
Is it 9th already? It could be 9th? Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of seasons. You start going back and go, oh yeah, I remember this season and what that, because we're just about finished watching Apocalypse.
Oh, that's right.
I got behind a couple seasons because I didn't have FX for a few years, and I'm all caught up now.
Excellent.
Pretty much. But,
excellent.
And then there's a new show called Criminal. It's coming on Netflix, and the only reason it's not, I wouldn't say it does nothing to do with the supernatural or anything, but the only reason I'm mentioning it because David Tennant from Doctor Who and Jessica Jones is in it, and also Haley Atwell from Peggy Carter. So if you're fans of either one of those shows, and it takes the whole show takes place solely in a police interrogation room.
So is it Peggy Carter for the modern age? Is this what it is?
Kind of, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just the actors, if you'd be familiar with them if you watch geeky shows. So I'm kind of interested in the show just based on that, and it's Netflix too, so it should be pretty good. Absolutely. The Goldbergs are back, so that's Lawrence's childhood and mine. I haven't watched a lot of the seasons, and I plan one day just to kind of start burning through them. I enjoyed season 1.
Yep.
And then...
they just keep getting better and better.
That was back just when PBRs could only tape like 3 things.
Yes.
And so that got booted out because it was just I had too many things to tape. I know it's not a good excuse, but that's what happens.
It's a terrible excuse,
it's
especially
blame
for
it
this
on
show.
technology.
Yes.
Blame it on technology.
Well, you should delete everything off your PVR just to make space for the Goldbergs.
This show annoys me, but I'm going to mention it because there's probably someone out there that watches it. Young Sheldon. Coming back. Is that what it's called? Sheldon.
I like that show.
Yeah, well, Big Bang Theory, of course, off that. I can't stand Big Bang Theory, even though I should like it because
you don't like Big Bang Theory?
I never liked it. I don't know.
Really?
I think because it's too sitcom-y for me.
Oh,
you know what I mean? So,
okay, fair enough.
But anyways, and Good Place as well.
It's the final season, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I don't watch it. I know a lot of people that do and love it.
I love that show. That's in my top 5 shows.
I've watched it bits and pieces of it. Looks good.
It's fantastic. I'm sad that it's leaving.
Lawrence's favorite Creep Show.
Oh,
will be debuting on Shudder
really soon,
September 26th.
Yeah, again. I'm very excited about this one.
And there's another show called Evil, which looks really interesting.
Yeah,
with Ben from Lost. I'm going to use character names because most people know them by their characters.
Nobody had no idea who these people are.
And Luke Cage is in it as well.
Oh, great.
Yeah, from Netflix.
So it's a crossover show, is what you're saying.
But it's these psychologists that like follow like supernatural stuff and that. It's kind of like X-Files, but they're not really detectives. So it's but very similar. So September 29th, we got the Fox Animation block is back. And you know what show I've gotten really into is Bob's Burgers.
That's a great show.
It's really funny because my son's been watching it, and I kind of been watching it like just from the side as he's watching it. Now I'm like sitting down watching the full episodes because it is really clever and really funny.
And it's totally different from the other animated shows that are on there. Like even the animation style is different. It's really clever. I like that one.
Yeah, it's really, really funny. Yeah. And Robot Chicken's back on Adult
that's
Swim.
Always funny.
Yeah, Robot Chicken's one of those shows I'll kind of just pick up and watch like bits and pieces of. Like
you know where I watch Robot Chicken? On YouTube. Like I will specifically like look for like the Star Wars Robot Chicken stuff. I don't think I've ever watched it on TV actually.
Yeah, I've watched it sort of like occasionally on TV. I'll watch it like on demand or something. But I find a lot of the sketches end up with someone just getting killed. Like you ever notice that?
Yeah,
like,
they do.
I think they need
in
to
some violent way.
But again, it's like some of it's pretty funny. Like they do some pretty good takes on some of the stuff. And then the week of October 6th is all your CW superhero action starting, including the new Batwoman show.
Oh, yeah.
So that kicks off as well.
That is a little intriguing to me.
Yeah, I don't know. We've talked about this before. There's too many of those shows, and you can't follow that much TV. Like it's just too much.
The only reason I'm interested in that is because I started reading the Batwoman comics when the New 52 kicked off.
Yeah.
And they were really solid, totally different, very dark, with a really strong LGBTQ angle on it, which was cool. And it's like, I think if they can follow the stories from the comics, they're going to have a really like different take on superheroes. So
it sounds cool.
I may check that one out.
Yeah, check it. I mean, you're a Batman fan,
I love the Batman.
So it'll probably be good. Just if they start crossing over too much with all those other shows, you start to lose it. Also October 6th, Walking Dead and Mr. Robot. I don't watch Mr. Robot.
Mr. Robot's still on?
Yeah, this is the final season.
Oh, okay, there you go.
But Walking Dead should be the final season. It's still going.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to continue to watch it until the very end.
I'm pretty sure that they just gave it 12 more seasons.
Yeah. And just quickly, a couple others. October 11th is Charmed. October 15th, Arrow starts, and this is its final season as well.
Right.
And Purge. I never watched that show.
Oh, no,
it's based on the movies.
Yep.
On USA. October 20th, The Watchmen show.
Oh, yeah, that
on
looks
HBO.
good.
Yeah. Castle Rock. I still want to watch season 1.
Me too.
October 23rd. Silicon Valley, which I love, October 27th. And finally, a show you may be familiar with called The Mandalorian is on November 12th.
What is this Mandalorian?
I don't know. I don't know what that is. But anyways, so that's basically the sort of the fall preview in a nutshell.
Yes.
But lots returning. And then, of course, next year will be a bunch more.
I still do not understand how neither of us have watched Castle Rock, even though we talk about Stephen King things almost every single
I'm going to try to start watching it.
What is wrong with us?
I got to go back and watch it.
Yeah, me too. It looks fantastic. And apparently this season is the whole Annie Wilkes, the whole
that's right,
thing.
Yeah.
So we got to get in on this.
I think Lizzie Kaplan's playing her or something.
Yes.
It looks pretty cool.
She's fun too.
Yeah, I like her.
So up next, Scooby-Doo turned 50. That's right, turned 50 years old. I don't know where I was going with that.
I don't know either.
50 years of Scooby-Doo.
That's crazy.
That is the craziest thing.
You know what's funny? My son said 50 years. How long? Like, how many shows has he done? Like, because they only know like more recent Scooby-Doo stuff. They don't really know like some of them just the movie stuff too. They don't really know like the cartoon, like the Scooby-Doo Where Are You and things like that from the past. So
well, apparently they only did 2 seasons. They did 2 seasons, and then they had 15 spin-off shows. So there were lots of. I mean, there's Scooby-Doo like crazy, but the original Scooby-Doos that aired. Started airing 50 years ago. There were only 2 seasons of those.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is. But those are the best 2 seasons.
Yeah, I did like when they started like crossing over celebrities. They had a whole season that was just them, and like it'd be like Don Knotts, or Batman,
the Harlem Globetrotters. I think.
Yeah.
I remember the Batman. Well, that was
because Adam West did the voice.
Yes.
So they do those, and they'd have like these guest stars on it, which is really weird. I don't know, but
it was strange. But so. In honor of the 50th birthday of Scooby-Doo, I did a little bit of research into how Scooby-Doo was born, because that's what you do when people turn 50.
Yes,
you learn how they were born. I guess I don't know. Anyway, it was kind of interesting because it came out in 1969. It was right in the middle of the Vietnam War and protests and a lot of political upheaval in the United States, and a lot of the cartoons that were running at the time were considered really violent. I mean, by today's standards, they aren't, like the Herculoids, which is a great show, and Space Ghost and those sorts of things. But at the time, they were considered pretty violent because all these characters would just come in and destroy things and blow up planets and stuff like that. And they needed something on the air that was still action but wasn't so violent. So they came up with this idea of making a scary-ish kind of comedy show, so you'd still have the action and the adventure, but the whole big twist on it was that it was every episode, as you know, they reveal that the monster is some dude with a mask on.
They'd be the meddling kids.
That's right. The meddling kids show the guy with the mask. And the whole purpose of that was to show kids that monsters aren't real.
Okay.
Because the rest of the world was just, in chaos and lots of scary stuff.
And they don't need anything else to be scared of.
Exactly. Just to show that monsters aren't real. And I thought that was nice. It's a very good message. So,
that's pretty cool, actually.
It's
funny how that character, like, even though that whole band of characters is really like still has impact even today. Like a lot of cosplayers do, like Velma, and Velma's probably cosplay more than Daphne.
It's true.
Like there's a lot of Velma like cosplay, but I don't remember Velma being quite that sexy, but there's a lot of it.
But Velma is kind of like the Mary Ann to the Ginger.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the perfect.
That's right. The Jan Smithers to the Jennifer. It's all the underdogs are making a comeback.
but it's funny how that still that sort of idea is still relevant today, and it still works, and people still love Scooby-Doo, and no one loves Scrappy-Doo. There's not a single person
really liking the Scrappy-Doo.
No one loves Scrappy-Doo. Didn't they do that in the movie? They pulled the van over and Scrappy-Doo was there, and then they kicked him out.
I can honestly say I've never watched the movies.
I remember they picked up Scrappy-Doo, and then they ended up throwing him out of the van,
and then running him over.
Yeah, I don't know, because it was so irritating.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But it also Scooby-Dum was also part of that. I loved Scooby-Dum.
Yeah, he was dum-dum-dum-dum-dum.
Yeah.
I forgot about him. He was the cousin, wasn't he? The cousin or something?
Yeah, and there was also Scooby-D, which is like his girlfriend, or I don't know if she was related to Scooby-Doo, or I'm not really 100% sure.
I feel like they might have been.
I might have been on Scooby-Snacks.
That's how they got Scooby-Dum, actually. I think Scooby-Doo and Scooby-D carried a little Scooby-Dum.
So dumb.
Stupidest thing. I don't think I've ever said those words together before.
That's a lot of weird things you just said.
Yeah, it was. Oh, that's good stuff. All right, so he's 50. Yep, let's move on. Okay. Game of Thrones. Just when you thought Game of Thrones was over, it's coming back.
Oh, yeah. Isn't there like a prequel?
2 prequels.
Oh, God.
Yep, and they're all about the Targaryens. They're focusing on the Targaryens. So there was a leaked title for one of them called Blood Moon, which apparently is the actual title. Right. So one of the series is apparently going to be called Blood Moon, and it just wrapped its filming its pilot episode earlier this year, and it's just awaiting a series pickup, but it's happening. There's no launch date yet, but apparently it takes place about 300 years before Game of Thrones and chronicles the beginning of the end of House Targaryen.
Oh, wow.
So it sounds like it'll sort of catch up maybe to Game of Thrones or something like that. But it's all House Targaryen and how they like disappeared. And then there's the second one. It doesn't have a name yet, and apparently they're awaiting a green light for a pilot, but I guess they're close to it. And it's more like a full history of the Targaryens based on the history that George R.R. Martin laid out in his book Fire and Blood. Okay, so this is more of like a history of the Targaryens. I don't know that you really need two series about the Targaryens on at the same time.
I'm a little scared they're going to Star Wars this.
I feel like they might.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Where they do too much, and then we get bored of it all really quickly.
Well, especially since it's the same thing. Like if the second series was like about the Starks, then you could follow like the history of the Targaryens and then the history of the Starks and see how they clashed and that.
Yeah.
But if two series about the same thing, I don't quite get that. So I'm sure
they'll be great.
I'm sure they'll be good, but
again,
a little hesitant.
I'd like to see what's moving forward, what's happening, as opposed to
exactly. What is Bran doing with Westeros now?
And what's he doing with his hair?
Exactly.
Is he changed it? Is it bowl cut still? I don't know. These are things I need to know.
That's right. Yeah. Has he cracked a smile yet?
Yeah, we never know.
I don't know. We're never going to find that out. Luke mentioned earlier that one of the shows coming up this year is called The Mandalorian. Ooh. And I pretended that I knew nothing about it. Well, I lied. I knew all kinds of things about it.
You crazy
Surprise! The Mandalorian. So the big news about The Mandalorian, everybody knows about The Mandalorian at this point, so I don't need to talk about that. But the big news is that apparently it's going to be discussing the origins of the First Order. Because this is something that people have wondered about since the new movies have come out. Where did the First Order come from? Where does Kylo Ren come from? And all of this stuff. Apparently it's going to tackle the origins of the First Order. So Giancarlo Esposito, who you'd know from Breaking Bad, is apparently playing a character named Moff Gideon. Not Grand Moff, just a Moff. He's just a Moff in this one. Yeah. But he was a former Imperial governor, and apparently he was set adrift in the wake of the Emperor's downfall. So this is like post, Death Star explosion and the Emperor's death and all that. If he's actually dead. What they're assuming is that it's possible that Gideon is looking to reunite the scattered, broken factions of the Empire and starts to build like a new empire and maybe the founder of the First Order. That's the thought. So this isn't just going to be, a Mandalorian hunter, trying to find treasure and stuff like that. This is going to go way deep into Star Wars mythology, which is really cool. And I feel like it's going to link some of the movie threads together. So I'm pretty excited about that one.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah, that's a good one. And while we're talking about Star Wars, because I tend to do that, there apparently is going to be a Darth Maul live-action TV show coming to Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Which is super exciting. I love Darth Maul, and when he appeared at the end of Solo, as the leader of the Crimson Dawn, I was pumped. I was like, oh my gosh, that means the sequel to Solo is going to be all about Darth Maul and the Crimson Dawn, and then no sequel.
Then Darth Maul killed the sequels.
He kind of killed the sequels, but he's coming back.
Throat crushed the sequels.
Yes, throat crushed. But apparently he's coming back, so he's going to have his own standalone series on Disney Plus. Not only that, apparently they're also claiming that because there's now an Obi-Wan series on Disney Plus, that Darth Maul is going to appear in that, which means we're going to get to see another Ewan McGregor Darth Maul
standoff.
Showdown potentially. So that would be really cool, and it might be that he's in the Obi-Wan series as a lead into his own series.
Cool.
Whatever the case, I'm 100% in on that one. So those are the top five, the pop five.
There you go.
The first pop five for season 2. We just nailed them all.
So now Larry and I are going to kind of add just one extra little tidbit for pop. So it's really like the 6 and 7.
Right.
I just want to talk about for a second that I realized, and I kind of forgot they were doing this, but they're making The Stand.
Right.
So the miniseries, they're redoing it, but it's going to be a 10-episode series. It's going to be on CBS All Access.
Okay.
So I'm really excited about this. This is one of the few books I've actually read.
All the way through?
All the way through.
Wow.
And it's massive. massive. Like that book is like
that's a big one.
Yeah, like 1,500 pages or something. I think we talking like we're like kids. It's like 10 pages long,
and it only took me 6 years to read it.
I know it's always like when people talk about books, they always talk about it in that sense. It's like, it's like 300 pages. Like,
yeah,
no one cares about the content of the book. We just want to know how many pages they are.
Yeah, that makes all the difference to me.
So the original was in 1994, and it had a bunch of like Molly Ringwald was in it. I don't know, have you ever seen the original?
Was it made for TV?
It was a made for TV,
right? Yes.
So I think there was 4 episodes of it, and then each one was like 2 hours or whatever. But it had a really good cast at the time, and I think who was it? Rob Lowe was in it, as well, and Gary Sinise, and it was just awesome, and Ozzie Davis, and it was really cool. But of course, it's never quite like the book, right? But they did,
especially when you made it make for TV.
Yeah, they did a really good job.
Time.
Yeah, they did a really good job with it, though. It was pretty cool. So I'm really looking forward to what they can do in 10 episodes when they can stretch it out a little bit. But they Amber Heard's in this version. Alexander Skarsgård just
really?
he was just added, and same with Whoopi Goldberg's added as well. So she'll play the Ruby Dee character in the original.
Right.
Marilyn Manson's in this one.
Oh yes, that's right.
So it's going to be cool. I'm really looking forward to it. So I'm going to keep my eye on this one because just because it's so popular. Stand is going to be the next sort of thing they're going to kind of be focusing on Stephen King-wise. But
he's like a hot property right now. Like everything he does, he just released this book called The Institution. That's his new book. Yeah, it's already been picked up and optioned for a movie. Like he just wrote it.
I wouldn't say everything. Dark Tower. Yeah, almost everything. I don't know how they screwed that up. I think they're I think they are redoing that again, but as a series, I believe.
Oh, that makes more sense.
That's sort of in development because they really screwed that up.
They really did.
I'm going to mention it a million times because they had source material. They could have just done what the books do. Yeah. And they didn't, and then that would have led into all those books, and they could have like a 5-season series on that, and they completely screwed it up.
Yeah, they really did. But that was before they really realized, hey, we should probably make these Stephen King movies good.
Yeah, we could put a little time into them and actually do something with them.
Yeah, I think that we'll just write that one off.
Anyways, moving on.
So my little extra pick for this week.
Let's call these just the picks of the week.
We'll call this a pick of the week.
Picks?
Oh yeah, a geek pick. Sure. This is my geek pick.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
You got to make an opener for that for the next show.
All right, yeah, we'll get another opener. Oh, that's more work for me. Anyway, okay, geek pick. So my geek pick this week is very timely because it just dropped on the day of our recording of this, which is early September. What is it? I don't even know what the date is.
Sometime in September.
Of September? It just dropped. It is a short film by director Colin Trevorrow, who of course did the Jurassic World movies, and it is a short Jurassic World movie that he's been working on secretly. Apparently nobody knew about this, but it just came out today. It is on YouTube, and it is called Battle at Big Rock. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, okay, this is kind of interesting. It's phenomenal. Like, did you get a chance to watch it?
I haven't watched the last movie. What's it, Fallen Kingdom? Was that the last?
Oh, yeah. Oh, you didn't watch the last one? Okay,
no.
Well, oh, you should probably watch that.
Yeah, I haven't seen it just because timing and it's like I missed it, and then I'm like, okay, I'll watch it when it comes on demand, and then I just haven't gotten around to it. I watched this thing. I'm like, oh God, let's watch this. And then it was awesome.
Really good.
It was intense for that 8 minutes or whatever it is. And like, you don't even know what's going on, but you're suddenly invested in these characters.
Yes.
And I'm like, what's happening right now? Like, why am I watching this and so intense on it? Like, the more it built, the more I was like,
Seriously, for 8 minutes, like he put everything into this thing. Like this is by far the best Jurassic Park movie.
And there's not really like I wouldn't say like a big plot to it or anything, but it's just an intense situation.
It's like a scene. It's kind of like a scene from a movie. So I don't know, like I don't really honestly know that much about this. I don't know if this is like a teaser for the next Jurassic World movie or if it's just a standalone thing just to keep us happy.
I heard that this is sort of setting up for the next movie.
Okay, well
that's what I read.
If that's the case, then I'm all in because this thing is great.
Based on whatever happened at the end of Fallen Kingdom, and I'm not really sure what that was.
Tell you because you haven't seen it yet.
No spoilers, even though that movie came out like 2 years ago. No spoilers on The Fallen Kingdom.
No, we will not spoil.
But now, because I watched this, now I want to go back and watch that movie because this really interested me.
But you don't really need to. Like you didn't.
You can totally just pick this up and
just watch it. But I recommend it 100%. It's great.
But my interest in dinosaurs, like destroying people, has gotten bigger since watching that.
Whatever his intention was for this thing, it worked because I'm back into it. It's great. So check it out. It's on YouTube.
You know what we should do? That is post that on our socials.
Hey, there's a good idea.
Yeah, it's something. It's this thing called social media. We could probably post that YouTube link on there.
Let's do that.
Okay,
so go to our socials.
Yeah,
and you'll
to
find
Facebook or Twitter, and we will put this on there, and you can watch it. Or it could be already be on there while we're talking about it.
You never know, but go there and look.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
That's some homework for us there.
More work for me. Excellent.
All right, I think it's about time that we go.
Where are we going to
go? You tell me where we're going.
I don't know. Just waiting to go.
Yeah, we're going. These things are happening right now, and I don't know.
I'm all ready.
Okay, here we go. You ready?
Yep.
Here we are.
Okay.
This is all. We got new things now, and the computers were changed in the studio, and now I'm like, what's happening?
Lots of changes in 2 months.
Yeah.
Technology just keeps moving on. We got to catch up to it.
A lot of AI happening in here suddenly, and okay, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay,
oh yeah.
Here we go.
Okay.
I don't think this is it.
No, still ready.
No, here we go.
Oh no, we're going. This is us going. Okay.
Getting in.
Yep. Close the door. You did. Oh, you already did.
88 miles per hour!
And now we run back.
Yes. It's been a while, so I couldn't find the car.
That's right.
So that's why it took so long.
We parked it 2 months ago. The pop capacitor has been out in the shed for 2 months. You lost the key. You couldn't get in the door. Oh, it was terrible.
Lots has happened.
Oh, it's terrible.
It's been so long since we've done it. I'm like, I couldn't find it in the file. I have all these files. I'm like, where is it?
Well, at least we're back in time now. That's what matters most.
So we've talked about the new It movie. Let's talk about the original miniseries, because we decided to go back and revisit that, because I think it's hard to talk about one without kind of comparing it to the other.
You kind of have to.
So I've got a little, just a tiny little tidbit of a commercial that aired back in about 1991.
90, I think. It was
90. Okay, here we go.
Tuesday night. It's 30 years later, and right on schedule. The killings start up again. 6 so far, maybe more.
It's back, and it's mad.
Take your pick, Billy boy.
Something bad's going to happen to one of us.
Get out of Derry while you still can.
I'm going back in. This time I'm going to kill it.
It, Tuesday night.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that makes me want to watch it.
You can almost hear the VHS sound of that.
Yes.
That, like, sort of the tracking sound in the background.
the adjusting the contrast.
Yes. It's so ridiculous.
It is. So this is a movie I did you watch it when it originally came out?
Not when it was originally on. I've seen clips in that, but I never first time I watched it, I think it was last year. It was the first time I'd actually seen it.
Yeah. I remember watching it. I don't know whether I watched both parts of it, but I remember catching some of it. And maybe I don't think I watched the whole thing back in the day. So it was several years later that I watched it again too. And then we've both rewatched it not very long ago. So what are your thoughts? Does it still? So this is before we go into it, this is the one that starred Tim Curry as Pennywise. Who else was in it? John Ritter starred in this one. Venus Flytrap. We're going to go with the character names.
Yeah, I've got it broken down here.
All right.
John Boy from the Waltons.
Perfect.
Venus Flytrap from WKRP.
Yep.
Judge Harry T. Stone from Night Court.
Excellent.
Is in it. Jack Tripper from Three's Company.
Yep.
Dr. Frankenfurter from Rocky Horror.
Oh, yeah.
And Scott Evil from Austin Powers.
That's right.
Is in this.
This was the biggest crossover episode of anything that has ever been done. It's like Battle of the Network Stars.
The whole first half hour, I'm like, oh, there's so-and-so from this show.
Yes.
Because it's like, you know them more from those the shows from the 70s, or obviously Scott Evil a little more. What's his name again?
Seth Green.
Seth Green more recently, but he was just a kid in this.
That's right, yeah.
And he's about the same size as he is now. But
Yep, he hasn't changed at all.
Oh, no, he looks basically the same.
Not at all.
That guy's never aged.
Nope. But yeah, so it had an all-star cast, really, at the time. I don't know if Seth Green was a star at that point. But
no, he would have been just kind of
starting out.
Yeah.
But the adult cast, they were all seasoned actors. Like, it was, you would have tuned in just to see these people on screen.
And probably roles that you would not normally have seen, because almost all, a lot of them, actually a good portion of them are from comedies, like sitcoms. They are.
Like, I don't know if John Ritter had been in a lot of serious movies up to that point.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to say for sure, but I don't know that he'd been in any horror movies.
No, I don't think so. But I'd have to go back.
Yeah, we'd have to. Yeah, we'll do some research on this.
Called IMDb.
More work for me. But yeah, so the cast was pretty stacked, and I mean, it capped it all off with Tim Curry, who is one of my all-time favorite actors. I love Tim Curry. From Clue and Oscar. Do you remember Oscar?
Yep.
Oh, I love that movie, Oscar. And of course, Rocky Horror Picture Show, and he's just fantastic. And I think he was perfectly cast as Pennywise. But what's interesting is to look and compare the two versions.
Yeah.
Like now having seen both.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on the original?
I thought the original was cool. Like, it's kind of a bit of a stamp in time,
Yes.
like when they did it. But I thought Tim Curry was just as like frightening, and because he was more more real,
yes,
than the other Pennywise. But the other Pennywise was cooler because he's just more terrifying.
Yeah,
right.
Like he's more of a monster now.
Yeah, the other one's more creepy, and the other one, and the newer one is more like frightening, like more terrifying, I guess.
Right.
But I think both did like an excellent job at portraying the Pennywise character, and lots of cool stuff. More frightening was the ponytail on Bill.
Oh, why did they put that there?
I don't understand why he had that.
I
Like,
don't
maybe in
know.
the book he does. So this is the problem. We've got the miniseries, we've got the new movies, and then we got Stephen King's novel, which I've never read.
Right.
So I don't know. It'd be interesting to find out what from that novel was in which movies and what they took liberties on, and you know what I mean? Like,
Well, and what I found really interesting, having seen both like chapter 1 and chapter 2 now of the original, of the new ones, and then rewatching the original, there are extra scenes in the original that weren't put in the new movie, and then there were scenes in the new movie that weren't in the original. So if you watch them both, like even though it's the same sort of story, you get more backstory on some of the characters.
Right.
They talk more in the original about Ben and why he's the new kid in the town, because his mother, he doesn't have a father. His mother just, I don't know if, I didn't say what happened to his father, but his mother has to live with her sister, and her sister's a terrible person. So there's more backstory on Ben that you get from the original that you don't get in the new one.
Ben in the miniseries version is a little tougher.
Yes.
Then the Ben is more cute in he's more innocent, and then in the miniseries version he's the one, or sorry, in the new version he's the one that's sort of like looking at the history of Derry.
Yeah.
Whereas the other version, it's another character.
Mike.
Mike is the one that's really been following the history of it. Which is, I find, I don't know why those choices were made.
No, I don't either. And what's the other thing that's interesting and really confusing to me, now, I don't 100% quote me on this. In the books, Pennywise reappears every 28 years.
Okay.
I believe that's in the books. In the new movies, he appears every 27 years. In the original, he appeared every 30 years. Why they changed that? I don't know. What would be the point of, like, why would that be something that you'd have to alter? That seems really strange.
Unless
to me.
they wanted to put it like from where they set it, they wanted to make sure it ended up in the year that they
maybe
like that they were currently in, so maybe they had to adjust years, because it looked like the kids were from the 50s, like the bullies.
In the original movie it started in 1956 or 54, like that's and that's apparently where the book starts. Like the book is set in the 1950s, like the kids' stories are in the 1950s, so that it ends in the 1980s, which is when the book was, because the book was written in 86, I think. So the current, like the adults in the book are alive in the 80s, whereas the new movies, the kids are in the 80s, and then the adults are now 2017, I think, is when they're supposed to be.
There's a lot of interesting differences that I don't know why they chose the things they did. There was the whole part in the movie that we can talk about it because we're comparing them, but where they had to gather one piece of something from their lives.
In the new movie.
In the new movie, which that wasn't in the old one.
They didn't discuss that at all. The endings are very different. From the 1990 version to the 2000s version, the ending is quite different, but I feel like it's because of TV. Like they only had so much money to spend, and
which was if you really want to see that in action, is when he goes down the pipe.
Oh yes,
and it looks like it's like stop animation.
It looks like a Tim Burton movie.
Yeah,
it looks like Beetlejuice.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Yeah,
generally I thought the special effects were pretty decent. There's a couple times they just basically projected something or whatever, but or superimposed him like when he was talking to them all.
Screen, yes.
But that part was really fake looking.
It literally was like stop motion animation.
Yeah,
but I think where they blew the budget was in creating the its true form at the very end, the creature, because it was a pretty cool monster in the original. Like that, and that's something you don't see in the new movies. You don't see him in his true form in the new movies. Yeah, but you did see it in the original. So it's worth watching the original. So you get more of a story, and you can sort of see more of what Stephen King envisioned. I'm guessing. So it's I think it totally holds up.
And where was the zombie driver in the original?
There was no zombie driver. I know. I was not expecting that.
I think there was just little things they put in the movie just to kind of spice it up, like just to kind of take it to the next level. Because in the miniseries, they defeated it in its original form fairly quickly.
Pretty easily, too.
But in the other one, it was a much longer sequence and more things happened, and it was like...
I mean, in the new movies, it was almost a third of the movie that they spent actually destroying Pennywise and it. But in the original, it's probably like the last 15 minutes.
I think, too, like, this is one... Like, I kind of saw this as a bit of a difference. There's some things I liked in the new movies, and there's things I liked in the original. The original explained a bit more like you're saying, like backstory on some of the characters. Like there was a part with the police officer where he comes up to kids and said, like, you can't be out here.
Yes.
But I also thought it was funny. He's like, unless you're in a group. I think a killer could kill all those kids. I think they just shouldn't be out there. It's like in the woods. As long as you're together, you're fine.
You're okay.
Actually, they're not really fine.
No.
But
they're always together anyway.
But there was more little moments like that kind of explained, this is why they can't be out, and this is what's happening. There was another part too that where they kind of explain, they're kind of explained to a little bit more like that, hey, you guys are all rich. Knows how you're all successful. Like they did. That's not really explained in the movies unless I've missed it. Like where they explain that part.
The original talked about how everybody's rich.
Yeah.
And the new movies not. I mean, in the new movies you got a sense of what their jobs were, but in the original movie you really like John Ritter's character like actually wins an award for being the top architect in Chicago or wherever he was.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So you see more like how successful they were in the original, and they don't do that quite as much in the new one.
And Bill's wife, too, is in the miniseries. She gets captured she comes to the town looking for him. Right. And then it captures her.
Yes.
But she's not nowhere to be seen other than one quick scene in the when they're on a set in the new movie.
That's right.
Like, it's weird that character is just like...
Because that was a pretty pivotal moment in the original miniseries was when his wife was captured because they find her again later. Like you'd think that would be something that they'd keep in. So now this is why I'm hoping that this supercut that Andy Muschietti is going to put together is going to have those sorts of things in it.
Yeah.
Those sorts of scenes that we didn't see because I think they were important scenes.
Yeah. And the other part too is like this. There's a lot more in the miniseries of them actually in school, which you didn't see a lot of because I thought it took place mostly in the summer. But I think there's a part where Eddie goes to the shower, like where the coach is like really angry at him, makes him go to the shower.
Yeah, because you go to the gym, you take a shower.
Yeah, and then it comes out of the pipe work and stuff, which wasn't in the other movie at all.
The new movies.
But there's also, I think, a part, and I may be not right on this, but where they kind of explain that the parents are weird in the town. Like the adults aren't quite right. Like they don't really.
Well, in the new movie they do. I think they talk more about like the parents are a little bit off too, but they never really explain that in great detail. But there's more backstory just because there's more talking. I think in the original than there was in the new one.
And does Eddie live with his mom in the new movies? Because he lives with her in the.
No, in the new movies, when he's an adult, his mother had died.
Yeah.
So we never see.
But in the miniseries, he's still living with her as an adult.
Yes.
Which I kind of liked a little bit, but then I liked the way they portrayed the mother better in the new movies. That she was a little bit more like
obsessive and
compulsive with him.
But what they did in the new movies was introduce his wife. Because in the book, this is something I actually read about. In the book, they describe Eddie's wife as looking almost like Eddie's mother's sister. He looked like he married somebody that looked just like his mother.
Yeah.
And they actually showed that in the new movie. And what's interesting is that they used the same actress in chapter 2 to play Eddie's wife that played Eddie's mother.
They just
in
cleaned her up
chapter
a bit more, yeah.
But
I
it was
didn't know
the
that.
same
That's
actress.
funny.
I know, isn't that funny? The other cameo. Hopefully, we're not spoiling too much. If you haven't seen the movie, I mean, assume you've stopped listening by now.
And also, it's not like it's a brand new movie no one's ever heard of. If you've seen the original miniseries, you kind of know how it's going to go, but it's not what you expect to. There's a lot more extra.
Yeah,
in this
and we're not going to give away the ending.
No,
not it was too soon. But the one other cool cameo that you may have missed, and I missed, but I kind of thought I saw something in the new movies. Ben, who grows up to be an architect, in the new movies, they cut to a scene in a boardroom where this man is giving a presentation.
Right, yes.
That man that is giving the presentation is the actor who played the kid Ben in the 1990 version. So
really?
Yeah, that kid who is Ben
funny.
is now grown up, and they gave him a role in this as an architect. But
that's cool.
Not Ben. But yeah, and when I saw him, I'm like, that totally I totally recognize that kid. He looks just like Ben did when he was a kid. And it's because he was Ben from the 1990s.
Yeah. The one thing I like, too, in the newer movies better is when it was in its original form, they tied in more to Pennywise.
Yes.
Whereas in the miniseries, I didn't even know what was going on. Like, it doesn't really explain how that's even attached to Pennywise whatsoever.
No, they don't. You're right. There's no Pennywise is either there or he's gone.
Yeah, because they kind of show up, and then there's this creature, and then it's like I didn't even know that was Pennywise in any form. Like it didn't really explain that. Like, and I think whereas the other one, occasionally his face would be on it or whatever they do to it, right? Like so, there's more sort of a connection to that. Like it was just I don't know if it really ever explains what was happening.
In the new one or the old one?
In both. It's like exactly why this is happening, but
I think they explained it more in the first one. In the new one, chapter 2, they talk about how he's like came to Earth, like he's an alien and came to Earth thousands of years ago or millions of years ago, and that sort of thing. And they don't really address that so much in the original. So the original is more just about the people, and like the trauma of all of this happening. But the new movies really go into more detail about Pennywise and who he was and why he was there and what he was doing.
But I do like the idea in it how they, as soon as they left Derry, their minds are almost wiped.
Yes.
And they don't remember anything that happened in Derry.
Yeah.
But then they still kind of lived the lives of the people they were. Yeah. Like they'd marry someone very similar to that, or that like if something in their past, or like it was kind of cool that way.
Yeah, it's very smart.
Story wise, I thought it was really cool. Yeah. There's one scene made me laugh in it, and it's at the beginning.
In the original or the
in the original?
Okay.
When is it which one's the kid with the raincoat? Is it
Georgie?
Georgie. Yeah. When Georgie's following it's the rainstorm.
Yes.
Well, it's clearly sunny out.
Yes.
In that scene, like clearly sunny.
Yeah.
And you can tell there's a rain machine like putting the rain down in it. Because you can see the sunlight going across all like through the trees and everything. Like it's so sunny. But you can just tell that they put a rain machine in front of it to try to because it's probably sunny the day they shot.
Yeah,
and they couldn't do much about it, so they just but it's very clearly it's not raining that day.
And that's the difference between the old one and the new one, and that now with technology and the budgets that they've got, they can create. It's more real.
Yes.
The new ones feels much more real, like it could actually be a real place, and this could really be happening. The original, obviously made for TV, the budget's much lower.
Yeah.
Special effects are not up to par anymore.
Yeah.
But back in the day, like that would have been breakaway. Like there wouldn't have been anything like that.
I found the original got its scares and its creepiness more from the way they shot it.
Yes.
As opposed to using just straight special effects and him turning it into something or whatever. But the new one used a lot more lighting, I think, to be cool.
Make
but there was
creepy,
but that whole scene at the beginning of the miniseries where the little girl's running around, they have like all the sheets.
Yes.
There's nothing scarier than someone's laundry.
No, it's true.
Like in movies, it's like laundry is always quite frightening. Like, because people can hide in it. And like, it's like,
and it waves in a funny way.
Yeah, but it was cool how they shot that scene, like to make it kind of frightening.
It looked very 80s horror movie. That opening scene was very like Friday the 13th or Halloween.
Because Halloween, there's a scene where they look out and there's sheets and stuff, and all of a sudden there's that was Michael Myers like hanging out in it.
Yes, that was like a trend in 80s horror.
People love the laundry outside, laundry. And then the evolution of washing machines sort of ruined that.
Yes,
nobody
hangs
proper dryers, economical dryers, sort of ruined that whole idea.
Exactly. Until somebody nowadays figures out that dryers can be pretty scary too. You look in those windows, who knows what could be swirling around in there.
You don't know what you're going to find in there.
No.
So overall, I thought the first miniseries was fantastic.
I think it's great. I think they are great to watch together. Like if you're a fan of it, the new ones. Definitely watch the old ones. It'll be fun.
Don't read a lot of books, but I really kind of want to read it now because I want to fill in story pieces that weren't in. I kind of want to see what the original vision was and kind of see where it went from the original books.
Who got what storylines, which movie got which storylines.
For sure. It was really cool. So what's your final take on that?
100% still holds up. It's a great piece of horror TV. Watch it.
So that's the show. So our next episode will be in a few weeks.
Yeah.
I would think
we are back. We're 100% back.
Oh, now it's back to trying to watch as many shows and binge as much as we can.
More work for me.
It's always more work for Lawrence, no matter what.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for Loop and Larry Gardens of Geek. We will see you next time.
Produced by Matthew C. Loop and Lawrence Simner. A Loop and Larry production.
Bueller.
He likes it. Hey, Mikey.
Bueller.
Bad news. Fog is getting thicker.
And Leon's getting larger.
Inconceivable.
Brian's right. It's an elf.
Wax on.
Does Barry Manilow know that you raid his wardrobe?